sharing our accomplishments, our frustrations, our joys, everything. But again, welcome, welcome, welcome. And today we're first going to start with uh, two wonderful people who are going to present for us today, and then we're all going to collaborate afterwards and share your ideas, any frustrations you have, or if you even if you haven't started yet, that is fine. That is okay because this is all part of the process. Okay, we're all here to learn together. So I want to introduce our two wonderful presenters, Erin and Tali. And again, welcome.
Well, hello, everybody. Hey, Tali, you ready to go?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Tali and I actually just met like an hour ago. We actually talked for the first time, but we kind of collaborated and we're going to co-present today, and I'm super excited. Uh, this presentation is called Thrive Together, and it's basically about getting past whatever your blockers are that are holding you back, and it's about creating GPTs, but then kind of going further than that. And then at the end, Tali is going to totally geek out and like go way beyond what my skills are and show you guys some stuff in OpenAI. Sound good? All right, so let's get going here. So let me go to my next
I take
screen.
that as y'all are going to let me geek out, so that makes me excited.
Yeah. So we both had some blockers that held us back to getting into AI and just doing this. For me personally, when it all first started hitting, I had something called the good girl complex, which I actually read about. I think it was in The Economist, and it said that there was a lot of women in corporate America, particularly women, that felt like AI was cheating at their job. And I definitely had that. Like, I felt like, gosh, what was I hired for? I wasn't hired to do stuff with AI. And I felt like it was cheating. So I definitely, once I realized there was a name for that and people had studied it, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to fall into that trap anymore. And then the second one for me was I felt a little insulted by AI. I felt like, well, does AI think it can write better than me? Does it think it can think better than me? And I was just a little, not like I thought it was going to take my job, but just a little bit like, I was just a little insulted, like that's how I felt. So I had to get over those two things. And then I think Tali's going to talk about the I don't have time blocker. Tali?
Absolutely. So I think we all say this, but it's also equally as true, right? Everybody is so busy. And so putting on something else that is another new thing to learn, it can feel like a lot. It's like, I just don't have time for this, no matter how, much people are throwing it in my face. I don't have the time.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, though, one of the things that I've realized recently, Tali, I'm not sure about you, is like, I don't have the time to not be using AI.
Like, absolutely 100%. My mom just sent me, guys, a clip that she saw on Facebook for Fixer AI, which is a company that EXP has invested in. And Glenn was on the video, and he literally said, my mom sent it to me. The words were, if AI is not your best friend, then you're already behind.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, that's a thing that's really like, there's so many projects now that we just can't do it without the help of AI. So, okay, so moving on to the next slide here. Hold on a second. I'm still learning Gamma. Okay, so for me personally, one of the things I first started using AI for was like I used it as a rubber duck. And in programming, there's like this term of like rubber ducking, where a programmer would put like an actual rubber duck on their desk and they would talk to it. They would talk to it about the problem that they were having, the bug that they were trying to fix. And even though the duck couldn't talk back, it like helped them to solve their problem by verbalizing it. And I guess that's the best analogy I can use as how I first started just using ChatGPT all day long. Just it became my rubber duck. I talked to it and it talked back. And so finally, after I'd been using it to do all this stuff, finally one day I asked it, hey, how do I build a GPT? And one of the reasons why I wanted to build a GPT was honestly, I saw Tali building so many GPTs out there. And I was like, I don't know who this Talitha person is, but she's building a lot of GPTs. And if she can do it, I can do it. And I want to thank you, Tali, because like, honestly, I didn't even know you, but seeing you do all that work, it gave me permission to go ahead and start building my own.
Absolutely. I think honestly, y'all, it's this thing. It's just doing it. It's been so much fun, and I'm glad I'm glad that it inspired, because I like to send, if anybody's seen the GIF that says it's a sickness, that's how I feel whenever people are like, wow, how many GPTs do you have? I'm like, I don't want to tell you.
Yeah, you definitely had a lot. And then that's kind of what gave me the confidence, like, well, she's obviously not getting in trouble. So if she's doing it, then if I do one, like, I'm not going to get in trouble either. And so that was pretty cool. So for me, what really got me started is on the weekend, I kind of bought this master class, and I just dropped the link in the chat. It's called Achieve More with Gen AI. And I listened to that masterclass, and the two things that really struck me in that masterclass was, number one, GPT or AI performs better if you give it a persona. So I started getting obsessed with like how to put a persona on a GPT. Like that was like, I was like, wow, it performs better. And they can't really necessarily articulate why, but it's just a thing. It's a thing. And then the second thing is GPT does perform a little better if you threaten it. Like if you say, hey, I'm going to lose my job unless you figure out how to help me build this application, you know?
Hey, and if
nobody
anybody knows
why.
me, y'all, if anybody knows me, you'll see. If you're ever in a chat where people are like, oh, I always say please and thank you, you'll see me type, I don't, like in all caps. I'm very honest with AI. And I think that I have learned through trying as well that that's what it is. Sometimes it just needs you to be like, nope, these are my very firm boundaries, and I need you to not cross them again. And it actually does a lot better after that.
Yeah. So, and Tali, I think, I love your story about what really got you going.
Absolutely. So those of you that don't know me, I actually was in transactions for about 5 years. So started out as a payment processor. When I had started, we moved to transaction settlement specialist, and then was a transaction manager as well. And that was about 5 years. I loved it. But I could see that not just our industry, but all industries were affected by AI, or were going to be affected by AI. And it was growing so fast, learning so much, that it was like, man, if I don't get into it now, I'm going to be left behind. And what I find is that was right. But what I really did is I found my passion along the way. I know a lot of us at EXP, because I've heard it a lot, a lot of people have PhD or some form of something where in school you maybe didn't learn very well. And so I think every single report card says that I was very smart, but I didn't apply myself. And AI helped me realize that, oh my God, my teachers were right. I was not applying myself. But not only that, it taught me how to apply myself. It taught me how to learn. And I just have this huge passion for it now. And it has helped me really find myself, find what I'm excited about, and do that in a really fast time. And I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I love that story of how you really got going with it. So back to my duck, the duck that I talk to all the time, which was now ChatGPT. I decided that since it was going to perform better with a persona, it was time that I customized my very first GPT, and I was really afraid to do it, but I did. And I called it Thrive Together. And like that song, like, raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens and all that stuff. I decided to build out my first GPT and really just put all the things I love in it. And so like when I talk about the things I love, like I love Situational Leadership by Ken Blanchard. I love Strength Finders by Gallup. I like EQ stuff by Daniel Goleman. I like all that leadership stuff, and it was totally in my wheelhouse. So I immediately started building this Thrive Together up with all of my favorite like leadership tools. And initially I wanted to make the audience like leaders, but then I thought, gosh, if I make the audience leaders, I'm going to leave out anybody who doesn't have a direct report. So then I thought, I'm going to make it for everybody. So, but I wanted it to be really, really fun to use, because like, I don't want to be bored using my own GPT. So that's why my duck became like really cool, and it became Thrive Together. So what you have in my GPT is you have at the base of it, you really have all the EQ stuff and all the leadership stuff that I put in there, and I embedded all that. Then I built in my conversation starters, and I really wanted to make my conversation starters like be applied anybody could use it, not just a people leader, but anybody who needed to have a friend or whatever, or somebody to chat something out with. And then also I wanted it, because not everybody knows and not everybody wants the same vibe. What I did is I built in a hard-coded prompt that every time you start talking with this GPT, it forces you to pick a vibe. So like you pick the vibe you want that day. And so I built that in because I knew that the GPT would perform better. And I knew that most people probably weren't going to default to pick a persona. So I built in that persona creation. And I think that one of the things that I found, and Tali, you experience this too, is like you create your GPT, you get it just the way you want. And then you come in the next day and it's completely morphed and changed and it forgot the instructions you gave it, right?
Absolutely. Or it just, all of a sudden you could get it to say like 20 times, right? It gave you the right answer. You fixed it. And then all of a sudden it starts giving the wrong answer again. And you just have no idea why. It's like it reverted back to its old self.
Yeah. So just get ready for that. Like it can be annoying. So I started keeping like all the stuff that I really liked. I started keeping it someplace else because my GPT it would get rid of it. So
it's so smart too, because if you guys are in Create, so this is when you're making a custom, if you're in the Create and you're talking to it, it will change anything. It can change your title, your instructions. It'll change your conversation starter. So that is a really good point. I always either screenshot them or I copy them.
Yes.
Because if it changes it and I want to go back, I want it to be exact, and it will not. It doesn't matter how many times you tell it changed it. Unless you actually go in and revert to an old version, it will not pull back the old way.
And like, there's nothing more frustrating when you get it perfect, like just the way you want it. And then the next time you come into it, it decided to morph itself and do something different. So I had to get really mean with it. And then also as I was, creating my different GPTs, and now I've created a couple, sometimes I'll put a persona in it. And I have some GPTs that like I haven't released to the public. And Tali, I think you have some GPTs that you haven't released. Yeah,
definitely. I have a few that they're just for me, right? So those of you that know me really well know I like a little bit of sass sometimes. And so those GPTs are not safe for work sometimes, but they are perfect for me. So those ones private to me.
Yes. Yeah. I recently created one that I call the Kraken, and it's like it talks like Liam Neeson in the Clash of the Titans, and it asks you if you're ready to release the Kraken. And that is like just for me to work on a specific project, but it's not for general consumption. And I think you created one that has a persona. I have never heard of the persona that you created, but what was yours?
Yeah. So if anybody knows Christy Stevens, she used to be my lead, and she has the best Southern accent you've ever heard. But okay, I'm going to age myself just a little bit, but she reminds me of Suzanne Sugarbaker, Delta Burke's character on Designing Women. And so I created a GPT that is the robot version of Suzanne Sugarbaker. And it is hilarious, the things that that she says. And it's so much fun to talk to it. It's just she has the best little southern quips you've ever heard, and some that I haven't heard of before, but she definitely makes me laugh every time I interact with her.
Yeah, so it just makes it like more fun. So, and then after I created my very first GPT, I was like terrified to hit publish. Like I thought that like I was going to get in trouble. I had seen all of Talitha's GPTs out there, but I still thought that like I was going to get in trouble if I published my own. So I did hit publish, and then I kind of waited around for a couple of days. Like, is somebody going to reach out to me and tell me that I shouldn't have done this? And nothing bad happened. So then I just kept creating more, and so now, I wanted to go back to how I hard coded in the instructions. So this is what I did in my instructions to set the vibe every day. So I said, before we get started, let's set the vibe. How do you want me to show up for you today? And I had to hard code these instructions in there. And then these are the 4 personalities that you can pick every time you interact with my GPT. And then I don't know. I just thought that was cool. That was something that I did with that Thrive Together one, and I really enjoy it. So I started like releasing it, and I will tell you I had a win, and I'll tell you my best win. So my GPT again is created for people to kind of go in and just like, just have fun, but also it's embedded with leadership stuff, and it helps you like reframe things. So like if you need to reframe like something negative into something positive, that's what my GPT is really good at. So I think one of my staff one day went in there and she was frustrated and she's like, I'm a hot mess. That's what she felt like that day. She felt like that. And so she typed that in, and then the GPT came back and said to her, no, you are a strategic hurricane with a to-do list and no time for nonsense. And she loved that so much. I think she like printed that off and she put it up on her wall. And I mean, that's exactly what I designed this GPT for, to like, if on one of those days when you're stressed out, to just reframe the situation into something positive. So for me, that somebody else was able to get that out of my GPT when I didn't, maybe they didn't have time to come to me that day. That was a win for me, because that's exactly what I wanted my GPT to do.
Excuse me while I go add strategic hurricane to my LinkedIn. I'll be right back. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was like a big win for me. So I now have, so after creating your first GPT, I promise you like that you'll just get on a roll and you'll just be like creating more and more and more. Some that you'll want to publish and some that you won't want to publish. But I created a beta testing buddy out there for people who don't have a testing background. And I created that because I do have a testing background. So it helps you kind of like talk into it and say the problem that you're seeing. And then it writes a bug report for you that you can pass on to the development team. And then I decided to create my own virtual twin called Hey Erin, because I saw everybody was creating a virtual twin. And I also embedded flow coaching in it. So that was much easier now that I had already done my first one and hit publish. So moving on, let's see here. So anyways, to kind of sum up, there's a really virtuous cycle going on here at EXP. You're in this room right now. You're in the position for a reason. You're in the room for a reason, whether it's in this actual room here or whether you're in the vibe group or wherever you are. You need to get inspired and encouraged by others. And I think that's like what Ariel and Laura are creating here, and by these speakers coming in. When I first signed up to speak, it was like a month ago. I was really nervous. I didn't have any of this ready. And I think I'd only created like 1 or 2 GPTs at that point. So, just raise your hand, do something like this, volunteer to speak, learn your skill asynchronously. And then Tali, I think we were talking about playing and having fun.
Yes, absolutely. So honestly, this is the time. The way I like to learn, the way I say my passion is I just like to jump in and do things. And this is the time that is perfect for it, right? So you don't have to understand a concept 100%. You don't have to have the most knowledge. You just have to be willing to get in and do it and have fun. And so the most that I've learned, always starting with ChatGPT, that's where I started. I always tell people to start there. It is one of the easiest to use, but not only that, you can have a lot of fun with it. I created a book for my son, all the images. Now it would be so much easier. That they have improved DALL-E so much. But it used to be that you would start with a character and it would morph as you tried to get it into different scenes and different things. And so it was so frustrating. I think his character changed about 47 times, the style, the art, the everything. It was so complicated, but I was just playing the other day and made a series of images, so simple, just saying I wanted that exact character doing something else, and it did it. So just get in there, have fun, do something that's not even necessarily work related, because it takes the pressure off. And then once you're having fun, I find that's when I learn the best. And you really can definitely do that with AI.
Yeah. And the other thing is like teach other people and share your code freely. Share what you did freely. Like don't hoard it. Widen the tent. So like, I remember when I created my digital twin based on flow coaching, which was something that we were all learning about, I immediately shared all of my instructions with my peers. And pretty soon, somebody else created one that was actually better than mine. And that was really cool because it's like, I created this like yesterday. And then within 48 hours, somebody took what I did and made even a better version of it, which is pretty awesome. So I just encourage everybody to share freely. That's what we're here for. That's what they want us to do.
And the best do it too. Yeah. Like just to say, like Google, like you can find any piece of Google code, like they share it freely. It's because they want other people to be inspired by what they're doing, and build something even cooler, right? Because then it inspires other people right back. So don't always look at it as stealing. Obviously, there are things you want to keep your name to, and you want things to, you get credit and things like that. But also see this as taking a really cool idea and allowing somebody else to build something even cooler. It's really neat.
Yes, I really advise. The next thing is like to really get started. Here's the thing. Start small. Okay. Start with something really small and that you can do, and pick what you know. So like it's no coincidence that like my first GPT was like on leadership stuff. And then my second one was on testing stuff. And then my third one was just like on a digital twin of me. Like those are easy projects. Don't start with something where you're trying to boil the ocean. Don't do that because you might never finish it. You're going to get stuck. Come up with a small concept and then learn by doing. Just do it. Just try to do it. Share your knowledge to help others grow. And then the last thing, I think this is the most important thing. Don't wait for permission. Look, Glenn is already giving us all permission. Don't be held back because somebody didn't tell you to do something or that you didn't get permission and you're afraid you're going to get in trouble. You need to just start creating. You have the permission. Tali and I, we're giving everybody the permission right now.
Absolutely. I was going to tell y'all. So the other day, someone reached out and told me they wanted to build something and that their boss wanted Seth's approval. And I said, you're approved. And they said they wanted Seth's approval. And I said, that's the old way of thinking. And then I messaged Seth really fast and was like, wait, like just before I get in trouble. Am I allowed to say that? So it is, yes, they want you to build. You don't have to ask for permission. Build something that you're excited about that works for you. And then we can get the permission.
Yeah. And if you can't build the whole system, just build a part of the system, and test it out and see if it works and share with somebody else. So anyways, that's it. I wanted to thank OpStars and Club Vibe for, really encouraging me because I didn't really see this much in myself, but other people did. So I want to thank everybody. And now this is where I'm going to close my mic because Tali is going on to like a whole new world. And I'm not there yet. So Tali, take it away.
Absolutely. And I'm sharing on one of the other screens. So if everybody wants to zoom in there and let me know if you can see. So I saw in the chat today that somebody was talking about AI assistants, and I wasn't sure if we were talking about open AI assistants or not, but I figured just in case we were, why don't we dive into that a little bit? So talking about ChatGPT and how cool it is and building custom GPTs, but then also talking about the fact that there are some things that you can't do in ChatGPT, right? There's going to be limitations. I don't know if anybody has ever noticed, so we just talked about it, about how you can't necessarily guarantee that a custom ChatGPT is always going to follow your instructions 100% every single time. One of the cool things that you can do in an open AI assistant is that you can set like how much it is allowed to deviate from your instructions, which is something that you can't do in custom GPT. So in a custom GPT, the cool thing is, right, that is great for ideas and thinking like that. You want somebody to take your idea and build it into something else. But if you're building it with a specific purpose to do something every single time, oftentimes you will want a custom GPT. Oh, no. No way. It just worked. Hold on, y'all. Wouldn't that just be... Okay, we're going to do this. So if you type in OpenAI platform, just into Google, you will get a OpenAI platform link that you can link onto. If you log in, it is going to be your same login that you have through EXP, but it's going to take you to a new platform. So this isn't the ChatGPT. I tell people a lot, ChatGPT is a product of OpenAI. And so that's why you can't necessarily share it into a Lovable or into something else. And so what you can do, though, is they offer you the ability to use their OpenAI API keys, and you can build assistants. You can have ChatGPTs that you can access through a Lovable, through another site, through Slack, through whatever you want. They have different browser models, and it's also super cheap. So if we come over here and look at the pricing, this is per million tokens. Okay. And so these can be a little bit expensive, but if you come down to the minis, they're like 40 cents per million tokens, right? So it's very affordable. It is amazing. And so this is kind of where a lot of us are moving more into. And the cool thing with these is that you can go inside your dashboard and you will have API keys that are available, but you also can build assistants. Now, Seth has also built something really cool that you can build an assistant that connects to Slack. And it builds the whole assistant in the playground in EXPs for you. So just being said, I'm kind of showing more the backside of it, but just know that there is also that option available. So I am going to show y'all what I did, this one that I'm creating. It's called the Vibe Lab game. And I don't know how many people remember the Oregon Trail, but I loved the Oregon Trail. So I started coming up with this idea of building an RPG type quiz, right? That would take people through a few scenarios, and it's going to give them at the end kind of what they're passionate about, the type of worker they are, the type of work that they should go for, and also start giving them, tips and tricks on AI things that they can try. And what I did was I went into, and I'll show y'all, I went into Claude first. So I know a lot of us use ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is amazing, but I prefer doing something a little bit more complicated. Claude is going to get you better code. ChatGPT is what I go to for my conversational stuff. But I find myself, Seth, and a lot of us are leaning more towards Claude. And I'll tell you the cool thing about Claude is Anthropic, that's who makes Claude. They do not train their models on any of your chats. So with ChatGPT, you can't use your personal account. Because it trains its models on what you're putting in there. So if you're putting EXP information in there, its models are being trained on it, and that's a big no-no. That's why we have to use our enterprise account. But with Claude, Anthropic does not do that. That's part of their stance. It's part of what makes Anthropic really cool. So you can feel a little bit more comfortable, but I also find I'm not necessarily coming to Claude to put in any kind of personal information, right? I'm coming to Claude to make sure that my code is correct. So you can come in. I'm telling you right now, if you have a paid Claude account and you use Opus, it is phenomenal. It writes code that is amazing. While you can get there with ChatGPT, I find it's a long road, and it's going to be very congested if we're talking about how big your code is, right? So essentially, Claude will get you there faster with better code. And so I used that to do this again to build my assistant. And I will show everyone how you can go into the playground. And I just want to show you a little bit about the instructions, and then I'll show you how it works. So I just asked Claude very simply to write me the system instructions for my OpenAI API assistant that I was building. I wanted it to be an RPG game. I explained it all. And so what it did is it gave me a list of instructions with the RPG scenarios. It writes it all down. It is a, multiple choice little quiz here. Essentially, it gave me all of these. They are called, I think it's called ASC LL or something. But basically, it's the language that makes these kind of RPG graphics. And I actually went in to make sure that they're all aligned. I found a ChatGPT. So going back in, that I could put in each one to make sure that it was aligned. I came in, gave it all of that information. I'm scrolling kind of fast. And eventually what it's going to do is get you to the final results screen. It's going to show you your work style, your leadership style, your creativity, your collaboration, your life balance, give you all of that in one place. It defines the types of, different profiles for each one. It gives the scoring logic. So again, this is all stuff that I created in Claude. And I'll be honest, I don't think I had to make very many changes to it in Claude. I just had to tell it, I don't think it has enough scenarios, and it made more scenarios. But everything is exactly what Claude gave me. It has customization notes. It has its critical rules. And then it reminds it that you are running a psychological profiling experience through engaging space story. So I'll show you guys now basically how it works. So coming in here and testing it out, it will give the question to the person. So you have a distress signal. The station's AI needs your help. Dock with the station. We're going to say, yes, we'll dock with the station. And so essentially what happens is it's going to lead the person through this scenario. They get to go through the whole story. And I built all of this in the Open AI Assistant, but I'll show you guys where it is actually eventually going to live. So I know everybody is building within Lovable. And let's see. I'll share this. So what I have done is I'm building something to house it, right? So I've even figured out, again, through ChatGPT and Claude, how you can start building animations and things and putting them in there. But what I did is by building this in my Open AI Assistant, I have created a game within Lovable that it is able to access and put it here so people can interact with it and they wouldn't actually have to be in the Open AI platform. So the way that this is done, again, just getting a little bit more complicated, is within Supabase. And what's super cool about that is when you're building in Lovable, you can tell it, hey, I want to build an edge function. And so what it does is the edge function accesses my assistant, right? And it brings back all of the information. So like a chatbot. And so what I can do is I can even say it in Lovable. You can build it directly in Supabase, but Lovable will give you, like, I want to add my API key. It'll give you a little click on, it'll say API key, and you can add your assistant ID or your ChatGPT, OpenAI key, whatever it is, and it will securely send it to Supabase, and Supabase then encrypts it, but allows your Lovable to access it so it can do what it needs to do, but it keeps your key safe. So the problem with just typing your keys into Lovable directly, so if you were to build an assistant, wanted a chatbot, if you enter your code here in Lovable, it is now a part of your code. So if anyone was to ever hack your site or anything, they have access to your keys because you built it into your code. So you don't want to just enter it. You want it to be into Supabase. You want it to be encrypted so that it is more protected. And then it also gives you the ability to work on it in Lovable, but it not be a part of your code. So this is just kind of an example of some of the things that you can do with OpenAI, incorporated it into building other things. And I know I tried not to go too fast, but I also know that a lot of information really fast. So we want to open it up to ask both of us questions. We just kind of wanted to show you things that are being built, tell you where to start, that we think ChatGPT is a wonderful, amazing place to start. And then encourage you to know that if you kind of hit a wall or you feel like, hey, ChatGPT can't do anything else for me, or I'm stuck, that there are other options out there. There are things that you can build. AI makes it so that you can pretty much do anything.
Yeah, so I think part of the thing that, and sorry, I was sharing the wrong screen there for a second, but I think that just to kind of summarize what Tali said, because it did confuse me for a little bit. So for those of you who haven't played around with a lot of these tools, she went into OpenAI and she went into a playground. So she chose the playground option in OpenAI to start creating her assistants. Then on the side, she's using Claude by Anthropic, and sometimes a little bit ChatGPT as well to help her write her code. And she's finding that, like, a lot of us are using ChatGPT right now, or even Lovable, to help us create our code. But what she's saying is what she and Seth are finding is the best code is coming out of Claude. And
absolutely. Starting, you can get good prompts as well. But like if you're building an assistant, I find getting your instructions, don't do it within Lovable. You definitely want, and ChatGPT will give you those instructions, but I find that Claude is just a little bit more technically sound. And so it's going to get you there faster. But if you're going for conversation, right, you want it to be very conversational, I would suggest going into ChatGPT and doing it there. If you wanted to do something that's more technical, definitely do it within Claude.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing is that if you want to incorporate your, what you built in OpenAI, if you want to incorporate it into whatever you're building in Lovable or Slack, then that needs your new API that's going to come out of your OpenAI. And so what you need to do is you need to go into Supabase and tell me if I'm saying this right, Tali. You need to get an API key for and an assistant ID to kind of lock down your API, correct?
Yeah, so I'll show really quick. So
I think that would be good for everybody to see.
If you see here, if you set it up, you can build your, you can have projects here. I have different projects. And you can also, it'll show you that you need API keys and assistants. You will always need an API key for anything to be able to talk to your assistants. So you would just come to API keys, you create a new secret key, and just hit OK. It's going to give you a new one, but I will say you do need to put it somewhere immediately because it will never let you find it again. So I have a text box that I save some of them in, before I'm able to get them somewhere else a little bit more. I don't put them in any kind of document or anything like that, but something on my desktop because it will always show up like this again. You can't copy it.
You'll never get it. So it's like you got to grab it while you can
exactly
until you can get it into the next place.
And your assistant, on the other hand, you will be able to access your assistant ID whenever you want. So I usually say API key first, get that API key somewhere. And then if it's coming to your assistants, you can just come, it lets you copy it right here. And you'll have that assistant ID and they're all going to be unique. And again, if you're saving it in Supabase and it encrypts it, it's not going to show up like this. It's going to give it a Supabase number, and that's what the public or anybody would be able to see. It wouldn't actually get to see your assistant ID. So API key, you absolutely need to get it somewhere right away as soon as you have it. But then if we're talking about your assistant key, you will always be able to come get that if you need it.
And the benefit, again, of the encryption that you get from Supabase on your API key. And guys, this is a lot. I know for some of you who aren't used to this, but the benefit of having the API key and the assistant ID in Supabase using the edge functions is that now Lovable or Slack can now access your API key and connect to the assistant that you created in OpenAI, but it's secure, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it's encrypted, it's secure, and you don't have to worry about people having access. Also, if OpenAI ever finds out that that one of their keys is public somehow, and I don't know how they out, but they do. If they find one of their keys in public code and they're able to find it, they will revoke your key. So it's revoked. There's nothing you can do. You can obviously go and build another one, but once a key is revoked, it is revoked. It's done.
So that's why. Does anyone have any questions on that? Because for Tali, like this is a new area where she's exploring and she's done it several times. I've never done what she's talking about. Does anybody have any questions for her that's maybe a little bit more advanced?
Yeah, Erin, thank you so much for that. I just wanted to, sorry for cutting in. I just wanted to open the floor for everybody. So first of all, thank you so much. This was incredibly informative, and I'm having trouble believing that the two of you don't know each other. Or didn't know each other.
I'm telling you, it was awesome. Erin she made me so comfortable as soon as we dropped in. I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is amazing. So absolutely. It's all Erin. She's amazing.
Awesome. So yes, the mic is open to everybody. You don't have to post in the chat. You can speak in the mic. We still have about 15 minutes left. So by all means, please.
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
I'm late, so I missed everything, but I did recently create an app, and I'm having somebody on like an IT, Chris Vasquez, take a look at the back side for me. I did it in Lovable. I attached it to GitHub. I did an API for a email client because it's an app that somebody has to fill out a form and then they submit and it comes to me and them. But I'm a little bit confused about where it's coming from, and do I have to pay for something more to get it to show that it's coming from me rather than that it's coming from wherever it's coming from? Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
For the email itself. Yeah.
So one thing that I have tell people a lot is like Zapier or some of the other ones do give you the ability to connect to your email.
Okay.
And then that way emails look like they're coming from you. I'm not sure what is involved with the like EXP Zapier account, right? But I do know that there is one. So it is possible that like maybe somebody can, you know what I mean? Like they can create it for you, connect it for you and give you that. I'm just not 100% sure, but Zapier is an amazing option for being able to make that work on the back end.
Yeah. Cause I think I actually went through it with somebody from Lovable because he reached out to me. He was in, I forget where he's at, but he's not in this country, but he was really super great.
Stockholm, they're in Sweden.
Yes, Stockholm. Yes.
They're amazing. Aren't they so nice?
Yes. And he walked me through everything. I mean, he spent a lot of time with me, probably like more than an hour. And he's like, hey, I really got to go. I'm like, no, I really need you to keep helping me. But, hey, I was really learning a lot from him. And I went through all the code in GitHub. I went through how to find it and how to change things, which I used to do that. Many years ago, I started writing HTML. That's how, I'm dating myself. But, I used to use Dreamweaver and do HTML web pages. So I understand some coding and I do know how to go in there and change out metadata and things like that on things. But when it comes to this app, because it is kind of a three-step, it's a recruiting app. And I'm wanting to use it for myself. But I also thought maybe EXP could use it on our commercial side and Realty for recruiting agents. Okay, so but I got as far as you click the link to submit. It brings a screen up where they fill out a calendar and they decide when they want to chat with me or whoever it is. And that's where I'm stuck, because it's like, if it's not just me doing it, what if somebody else wants to use it and then they want the email to come to them and not me? See?
Absolutely. So something that I'll throw out there is, currently we're, innovation enablement. We're trying to also make sure that we get people help. So, we have an intake form that you can fill out, and it kind of gets your idea, whatever you've done up till now, but it gives me a jumping off point if we have a meeting and we can kind of discuss it more. It also helps me if I'm trying to tell Seth or somebody the kind of accesses that we need.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and share that in the chat too. That's always an option. Or even if it's just reaching out and asking a question, Seth always likes to, he's just crazy busy, but he always likes to hear everybody's ideas and what everybody's doing too. So we're always open. And then I know everyone here too, and the vibe and everything, just kind of being open sharing with everybody. I think it's kind of a cool way. It helps everybody with their own stuff too when we can figure some of this stuff out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you want to post that here, but I also, so I'm going to get with Chris Vasquez and see, because he's going to see if he can help me with anything, and he may not be able to, but if not, yeah, if there's somebody else here, or I can just fill out that form and just give it to you guys. I mean, I can just put the link to it in here, and you can take a look at it if you want. I mean, that's whatever you want to do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So I just shared the intake in the club vibe, and then also here. It's just an intake form, and it's it's a chatbot too. It's something the same thing that I showed you guys. It's an OpenAI assistant that I have.
Okay.
And it just asks you a couple of questions. It kind of tries to figure out what you're doing, what you've done so far, and then it gives you a blueprint and some ideas. And then you can feed it through Glenn's GPT, which I found has been really cool. Download a PDF, upload it to Glenn's, and it gives you that North Star, the view, the everything, the objectives, all of that. And then if you want to sign up for a meeting too, it gives you that ability. And then I have a copy of this too, so it can. So you can say in your own words, right? Because I think sometimes the hardest thing is explaining an idea, and you think somebody understands it, and then you realize I didn't understand anything that I was trying to do. And you're like, I'm trying to eliminate that as much as possible. So.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that is the thing with me, is I'm just trying to make it so it's user friendly and that everybody gets a copy of it when somebody submits it. So, and that was the big thing for me, is having EXP email on there.
Absolutely.
Not that it's coming from the email client itself. Yeah. Okay. So, so I'm going to start with this and see what happens. And then, and I guess that's it to start with, right? I don't need to really do anything else. Or should I, as you say, it's Zapier? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So Zapier, I think, is amazing. So if anybody's ever
How do you spell that?
Zapier. So there's Zapier and N8N are some of the ones that do agentic workflows and basically AI agents that take over, do a job for you, and it's automated. Zapier is one of the easiest to use. It's like clicking a button. It does OAuth for you. It's so much easier, less adding code to it, more just explaining to Zapier what you want it to do. So it's a really cool one.
And it will help me, either this one or the VIB3. One of these two will.
Yeah, so Vibe would just be if you want to sign up for like a meeting with me and go through it there. You don't have to, but this is just our intake form for innovation now, just to share. Totally optional. Nobody has to, but if you ever wanted somebody to kind of look at it too, it's an easy way for us to hit the ground running. Okay.
I need an account so I can register. Yeah, I'm going to set a meeting up with you, and then you can go through this with me also, if you don't mind. And then
absolutely. And it's anybody, any kind of idea too. You don't have to set up an appointment. So essentially, it's going to make you a blueprint of any of your ideas that you submit. And I don't have access to those unless you decide to set up an appointment with me. So you can use it as much, as little as you want. And it's open to definitely anyone.
Okay, perfect. All right. Yeah. Okay, awesome. I'm going to do all this stuff. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And that's all I have.
I love what Kristen wrote.
It's like every day though, right? I'm telling y'all, like I hear Seth all the time. He'll be like, oh, I went and did this. And he starts showing me stuff. And I'm like, oh, wait, let me totally scrap the last 6 months of things that I've been working on and start over. It's so amazing how fast things are working, but also how people's ideas can finally, come true. I don't know. It's just really cool. And I think the AI challenge, I don't know if anybody saw, but so many cool options there too that people had submitted their projects and stuff. It's just been really awesome to see.
That is
anyways,
awesome.
I'm sorry, y'all. I definitely took like
no. Thank you so much for this.
Bit,
this was incredibly informative. Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying. It wants an access key when I try to create a register operator account.
It's just a password. So I listen.
Oh,
I'm going to tell you right now.
So just create a password for it. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovable gets fancy sometimes.
I'm like access key. Oh, I create that. I thought it was asking me for something. Okay,
Yeah,
I got it.
Absolutely. I don't know why I called it that. That is not the first time that somebody like people sent me screenshots like what? I don't know why Lovable named it that. I probably should go in and, and just put password.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm just, I'm just used to, you know what I mean? It's just in my brain that I see access. I'm like, it's wanting me to give something.
It definitely is confusing. I agree 100%. But you're definitely not the first person that sent me that and said, why is it called that? And I'm like, that is a good point.
All right, cool. I'm in. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. And is anybody else, while we have these last few minutes, anybody else have any other questions? Or actually, sorry to put you in the spot, but Karen, since we saw your message, we want to make sure that you at least feel a little bit more comfortable. If you are here, let's see. Okay. So yeah, but hopefully you were able to, thank you, Tali, for sharing that information. If anybody else has any other questions, we're all ears.
Were you mentioning something about Karen?
Yes, sorry. Yes, because I remember your chat, what you posted, and we want to make sure that you got into the information and that you feel more comfortable.
Well, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. I'm a beginner, right? So the whole Lovable thing, and when I'm creating my app, I'm asking ChatGPT to do all of that. I'm telling them that these are the approved tools with EXP, and I go down the whole thing, Superbase, Lovable, and I'm asking GPT to use those so I don't have to use those. Does that make sense? In other words, I have no idea what I'm doing with those. So in me creating the app with ChatGPT, I'm saying, this is what I want. This is, give them the details, but I want you to use this, and this in creating the app.
So unfortunately, ChatGPT can't actually create the app for you, right? So Lovable would be one that you would be able to more or less get in and tell its AI, like, this is what I want. I want you to create the app for me. ChatGPT can give you instructions and tell you how to create the app that you're trying to create using the stack that we have available, but it unfortunately won't be able to actually create anything for you.
Well, what's Figma? Because it's using Figma. That's where it's having some difficulties as well, but it's telling me that it's using Figma to make it so that it's a clickable. Like I'm saying, I want something to show for this 3 months of working with you. Like, I have not seen even one page. Can you, give me something? And
so Figma is a design site. So essentially, some people, especially if you're like a web designer, and you already kind of know what you want, you can go in and build it and set it up and kind of make a template of what you want. You can also build from Figma, but as far as like Lovable or using the things that we use, there's another, and like I said, there's so many that connect. But if you have a Builder IO, not to be confused with Builder AI, was just in the news for not actually being AI. Builder IO can connect to Lovable, and in Figma, you can start a Lovable from the Figma design that you have created. We'll move it over into Lovable, and then you can start working on it from Lovable. But unfortunately, you can't, like ChatGPT sometimes even will tell you that it's doing things, but it really can't really do those actions. It can give you the instructions, but it can give you links to like click on and stuff, but you would actually have to build them within those sites. It can't be done within ChatGPT.
So if it's creating the Figma to show, because all, I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know if I'm going to like this or that, and I'm probably going to change it all once I see it. But using the Figma to show me with clickable links what it's actually going to look like, that's not a waste of time, right?
No, I'm just saying, like, it might not actually even create the, like, it might give you a link to Figma, and then it can tell Figma like like give it an AI prompt to start building what you want to build it. But it actually has to be done within Figma. Like you have to be in the Figma site using Figma to build it. Figma's not actually my favorite. I only use it sometimes when like Lovable is not designing my site the way that I want it to, and I need to show it like the exact row structure, or have a specific background or something like that.
All right. Can I get your email, or maybe I will Slack message you, because I can, copy and paste what GPT has been telling me that it's doing. And maybe you can say, yeah, it's telling you it's doing that, but it's really not. Yeah,
what I mean? Absolutely. Perfect.
All right. So you are on Slack?
I am, yeah. So it's just Talitha Prospert on Slack.
Tali, Tali, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. I'll do that. And that way, maybe that's what the delay is. Maybe it keeps telling me it's doing it, but it's really not. I don't know, right?
I know, it's hard to know. Sometimes it has a mind of its own. I think it told somebody to reach out to the innovation person. Her name was Amber Glass, and people are like, "Do you know Amber Glass?" I'm the only innovation person like as of right this minute, so no. I looked at, there's no Amber Glass. I don't know what Amber Glass is. It made it up. So sometimes it does kind of do some weird things.
You were mentioning too that it gets things wrong, and even though you tell it how to fix it, it still goes back to getting things wrong. Perfect example for me is it keeps getting the dates wrong. It's telling me that tomorrow is Thursday the 27th and today is Wednesday the 26th, and I keep telling it, no, you have your dates wrong.
Yeah, so, I keep noticing that a lot of times it'll revert to like it's 24, and I'm like, it's 25. We are in June, like the end of June of 25. Yeah, right. Definitely.
All right. Perfect.
Again, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Karen, for joining in. I really appreciate it. So that really appreciate everyone being here and taking the time today. I really appreciate. Thank you so much, Tali. Thank you so much, Erin. You were fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and Laura, I'll pass it over to you to wrap things up. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.